Alright guys, I'm going to show you the alternative tiny whoop build. And there's two types. There's the kind that I made the video for before was a tiny whoop build that had an ESC. Now these ones have what's called an all-in-one flight controller board, which means the flight controller, the brain, the computer of the quadcopter, and the ESC, which stands for electric speed controller, the thing that controls how fast the motors go, are all built into one circuit board. So let me show you what that looks like. Here's one right here. Okay, so this right here is the flight controller. It's also the ESCs. The motors hook directly into them, and there's no extra things that power. Generally, these tend not to be as powerful, though they've been getting more and more powerful as technology has been moving forward. This also has the the receiver built in. So the transmitter is what you would call the controller, all right? And it sends a radio wave, a signal, think like a light, to the drone, tells it what to do. And it hits this antenna, and then this is called the receiver. So this actually has three separate things built in. It is the receiver, the ESC, the electric speed controller, and the flight controller. And on the flight controller, it has what's called gyroscopes and accelerometers that kind of tell it, is it leaning forward? Is it leaning back? Am I shaking? And those things help tell the drone what to do. So there's a computer program that basically says, like, if your flight controller board's like this and your controller is telling you should be flying level, it automatically makes it level for you. And so that's one of the really cool things about that. So this is the flight controller. It's basically the brain and what controls the motors and makes them spin. And it's also what receives the signal. Now, with these two, you'll notice that there's different motors, okay? So these motors right here, they're a little thicker. They're kind of like a bell. These are called brushless motors, or three-phase motor, and they have 3 wires. And basically think that they have separate magnets that kind of rotate the prop around. This one is called a brush motor.
You guys haven't been cutting any metal down here today or anything, right? I just wonder what that smells. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. This right here is called a brushed motor, and you can see they look different. Let me see if I can find just a straight motor real quick for you guys. So here's the difference between the motors. You can see this one's a little shorter and fatter. You can kind of see the windings of the wire. This one's enclosed, kind of looks like a can. The brush motor only uses 2 wires. Generally, a brushless motor is a lot better. It's more efficient, it's more powerful, it's better. But the brush motors also work really well. They seem to be more reliable, they don't break as easy. Now they do burn out faster, so they both have their pros and cons. Like this one can take some hits, but this one, if it takes some hits on the sides, it'll bend the shaft. Okay, so those are the motors. So this quadcopter frame is for a brushed motor. This one has a brushless motor. This one needs to have the flight controller replaced. The other thing that you need to worry about is the camera. Okay, so when you're flying FPV, you need a camera. Okay, and right here, this one plugs in, has a place that you can plug into the flight control board right there. And then you take these 2 wires and hook them in. And this has actually an on-screen display, okay? And you'll notice that this camera right here is connected to this part. This part is the VTX, okay? This is what sends the video signal. So you know how your transmitter on your controller sends a signal to the drone and tells it what to do? Well, this sends a signal to your headset so you can see out this camera. You can also change the channel, because if you have someone on the same channel, you're only going to see whoever's closest to you, or the signal's stronger. So when multiple people are flying or racing, you need to hit this button to change the channel. And your camera should come with an instruction manual. Like I can see here that this is channel F, and that this says 1 through 8 up here. And when this is plugged in, these little lights come on, and you can see it. it is really important when you're working with drones that you know which way the electricity is flowing. The red wire here is the positive, the black is the ground or the negative. And if you wire something backwards, like if I plug in a battery backwards or solder these on the opposite way and I plug it in, it's going to destroy the board. All right, so that's the basic overview. You know, this is your frame, your ESCs, receiver, camera, all in one, and your transmitter. It's going to be something like this. You know, depending on which one you use. For the green one, it's this one. For the other one, it's a small white one. Here's your headset. Your headset has its own antenna that gets plugged in. It goes right here. You set your headset to whatever channel that your drone is set so you can see outside. It has a screen in here and you can see. And that's pretty much the overview. So for the first part of your assignment, you're going to label all that stuff. You're going to label what your flight controller and all that is on a piece of paper and kind of talk about what it does. All right? Good luck with that, and I hope you get it done.